All right, everybody, back. I got another brother with me, my buddy Ben, another brother, same father, different mother, but he's here nonetheless, and I'm excited to connect with everyone. And Ben is going to drop some wisdom about how he's been implementing his faith, really to run his entire life, his music, his businesses, his masterminds, and then some of the pivots that happened all along the way. And I just want to share that, you to share that with our audience.
Hey, brother, glad to be here, man. Glad to impact some people and share some truth. Where do we want to start?
Let's start with what I spoke about at the Most Phoenix event. I spoke about this difference, and you had some different insights on it about how fulfillment at the soul and heart level isn't going to be found in the external, where you get a bunch of guys, these alpha types, and they go out there, hey, let me go do more and let me go be more, and then that becomes their identity. But really, there's a void that's not fulfilled inside that the external is never going to fill. So now they look for escapes.
Well, let's look at the narrative that people follow. So we're all looking for some type of role model. As a young man, young boy, we're looking for our fathers. We're looking for people on social media. We're looking for leaders in the community. We want to follow a path, all of us. So this path leads us down to a level of conditioning. I believe that people choose. People choose where they end up. We have agency over our lives. So I see somebody, Ray, who's outwardly successful, who has the things that speak to my insecurities, frankly. They have money, they have power, they're capable, they're talented. And as a result, Ray, I say, whatever they have, I got to have. For me to be like them, I got to have what they have. So I see successful men, growing up, I'm a musician, right? I'm an immigrant coming here to North America, and I'm looking around like, what does it mean to be successful? And I see guys with nice cars. I see guys with nice houses. They've got beautiful wives. They've got, children and whatever. And you start to model your opinions after their opinions. So we're basically copying. We're looking for these role models to influence us. We're so impressionable. And I think this happens throughout our youth into our adult life. In our adult life, we find the same thing. We find a life that's uninspiring. Somehow we ended up with a job we don't like or a situation we don't like that's not inspiring us. And we look at other men and say, look what they have, though. And we start to pursue these things. And I think oftentimes, Ray, we become the sum of our pursuits. So then all we do is talk about the pursuit, the money, the status, the fame, all the things that deal with the little boy inside who's crying out for insecurity, who's saying, I don't really have meaning, so I'm going to use all these other status symbols to drive my lack of meaning. I'm going to find meaning in the cars, and I'm going to find meaning in the fame and find meaning in all the things. We live in this world, man, where feelings somehow get convoluted into facts. So, this is such a powerful conversation for me because I see hollow people everywhere. They don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. They don't even know what they want. They just copy everyone else in hopes of finding something. And all you're going to find is the same hollow feeling that the next person has. Yeah, they have a car, but the car loses excitement quickly. And yeah, they have things, but they go in this pursuit. A book I'm reading now talks about Adam 1 versus Adam 2, and the external growth, the validation, all the external is pursuit of Adam 1, the status, the things that we're recognized for. And frankly, we alienate the internal, what's called Adam 2. We alienate the purpose. We alienate the identity. We alienate the independent thinking to pursue the status. And then we get the status, and guess what we are? Broken men. That's why I think a man goes through a midlife crisis. You guys know what I'm talking about, Jonathan, right? Ray?
You calling me
You
old?
find these middle-aged men who, what do? They cheat on their spouse.
Did you just call JR middle-aged?
He called us both middle-aged,
You guys
man.
know what
He's
I'm
like,
talking
you know what
about.
I'm talking
You guys
about.
have seen it.
100%. I like to just kind of circle back on some of the things you said that kind of I wrote down and were important to me. One, Adam 1 goes on the pursuit of things to try and get purpose and meaning. Never really happens. Adam 2 pursues purpose, right? And goes from that place of, right? So that's kind of what I understood from what you're saying. How does Adam 1 ultimately become Adam 2? Because I think at the end of the life, fulfillment never comes to Adam 1. It only comes to Adam 2.
Well, let's speak specific examples because that's easy. But
Yeah.
you're a guy with a Lamborghini. How did that Lamborghini make you feel when you got it?
Well, he sold it.
Well, the pursuit of
Oh, you sold it. So
the Lamborghini was great. Like in terms of like external validation, it was a goal. It was these things. And that's the Adam one pursuit. I bought the Lamborghini and it was awesome to go look at the car in the garage. There's a level of satisfaction and there's a level of human achievement, you know? And this achievement, this pursuit of achievement is a good feelings, but feelings don't last. So you should ask me what happened a month later. A month later, it's just a Lamborghini in the driveway. You know, the one good thing that we all focus on as men is like, yeah, but now that you achieved it, you can go and achieve the next thing. But the reality is it wasn't actually ever a prerequisite to the next thing. You know, the next thing is on a set of, it's a hero's journey that we all follow. And the question I have for people is, are you following the right hero? Or are you following another man who's going to force mortality? At some point, all of us are going to face mortality. And thank you for giving me a platform to share this stuff. Like, and I'm just re-engineering what I've learned over the last decade. I'm not inventing anything. But a man eventually faces his mortality rate. And I think when a man does that, or somebody else's mortality, I think they have to say to themselves, what's the purpose of my life though? Beyond the money and the status and the cars and the things, what's the purpose of my life? See, when a man operates out of purpose, and purpose to me means that it's not self, it's not you. A man who operates from a sense of purpose, frankly, I don't need any statues. I don't. JR, I don't need cars and statues. It's all cool. None of that is the core. It's all just a symptom. So have a beautiful car, have a Lambo, have a Rolls Royce, have a beautiful house. It's not this or that. It's this and that. It's your relationship to the and, right? How you show up, who you are. You don't have to be ego driven all day, fight the world. You know, what's interesting is, and it's the same kind of paradox that like what got us here doesn't get us there. We've heard that. But if a man is very aggressive and then a man finds outward success through his aggression, then that man's narrative is you must become aggressive to become successful. But then when you find another man who was just not aggressive and he was polite and he was honest and he was obedient and that same man found success, then which one is right and which one is wrong? So I don't think behavior equals success. I think doing the work equals success. Like, Ray, we've been in real estate, right? It's like, making offers equals buying houses, not making offers in bitterness or making offers in happiness or making the offer equals the outcome.
Can I push back here?
Go for it.
And my pushback here is when I spoke to this event, I said, first you got to believe it, then you got to behave as it, and then ultimately you become it, right? Believe it, behave it, become it. But I also said that the universe, source, infinite, intelligent God is with you when you embody this way of being, where you trust, where you surrender, where you show up with that clear intention and elevated emotion. The universe responds way more to who you are being than what you are doing. So I've seen two guys, and Ben, you've seen them too at the gym or making offers. One guy makes 10 offers. I'm sure you've seen in your coaching programs. He'll make 10 offers and get 3 or 4 deals. And the other guy's banging his head, making 300 or 400 offers, and everything's a struggle because he's separate from everything. He's not connected to anything. There's no real driving purpose, or he forgets his real why. He's just chasing the money. The other guy's connected to his real purpose. He's connected to, he's doing this to serve something other than himself. And I find that the guy that's connected to that and then acts out of that place, the universe just bends over backwards. It doesn't mean he doesn't take action, but he's being different as he's doing. So this concept of who shows up to what shows up.
And my belief is that we have an ultimate creator, the God that created the universe, and the serving of that God is the connection to your purpose. I believe it's very tactical and factual that when we live in obedience, see, we're looking for discipline. And if you Google the word discipline, for me, what I come up with is this like very negative consequence driven ecosystem that you have to operate within. Discipline, discipline, discipline. Well, I prefer, instead of discipline, to focus on another word, obedience. Imagine if there was already a grand mentor, right? That's our Heavenly Father who created the heavens and the earth. There's already a grand mentor. The plan is already written, AKA it's in the Bible. And we simply must be obedient to that. Once we're obedient to that, that gives us the rules. Love God, love people. Listen, it's hard to love people. But I've learned from a friend of mine, Adele, that Matthew 3:17, basically said, or John 3:17, just love without condemning people. Like the instruction is pretty simple. It's an obedience. It's not a, so I believe like, instead of looking at the negative consequence, I believe that when somebody is obedient to the plan and somebody just moves forward with relentless pursuit, and I've seen this over and over and over again, it's when you put in so much effort and consistency that it's just inevitable that you have to find progress, because progress happens through the failures, progress happens through the awareness. Like, see, sometimes, Ray, like a 20-year-old man has no realization that there's an internal purpose because he's operating from the flesh, from the external. Like, it's not part of the dialogue. But a man like is 40 years old, goes through a divorce or goes through a death or goes through some event, some life event, and that event triggers a defining moment, and that defining moment triggers a new set of thinking. And you have to go like, what am I really here for? So I believe that there is a creator who created the universe. That creator governs. When I surrender, say, God, your will be done over and above my will. See, I think ultimate love, the agape love, is the love to choose. It's the freedom where God says, you can choose what you want for this life. I've given you agency. That's the ultimate love. And as a free agent, then we have to say, Ray, the quality of our conversations equals the quality of our life. So what is the quality of conversation? You know, it's funny, it's interesting. So here in North America, we often we focus very much in Western culture on agreement or disagreement, right? So your political stance, my political stance, your belief, my belief, but we're constantly at odds and in conflict around belief. But I noticed in Eastern culture, some of the Asian cultures, it's more about insight versus agreement. Like, they'll argue to understand, not argue to be right. And I've come up with this concept, like, if I can just love people and I can just fight to understand, I'm probably going to be a more holistic person and have a more holistic perspective than always fighting to defend what I know. Erwin McManus, who's an incredible speaker, says there's two kinds of people: those that are arrogant and ignorant, which is hilarious, right? Like, all of us are ignorant. And then there's those that are humble and also ignorant. So you just have to choose. Like, do you want to be ignorant and humble about it, or do you want to be ignorant and arrogant about it? Either way, we don't know. We just simply don't know. So I'm choosing to live a life where if you disagree, that's okay. If you disagree, I don't need to prove you wrong. And then by default, I don't have to prove me right. Your opinion is your opinion. So it's kind of beautiful. It's a beautiful way to live life. This is the way that I've come to accept people, not control people. So I believe the real freedom comes through a better quality constraint. You want financial freedom, guys? We know how to do this. Financial freedom equals budgeting your money. You can't have a leaky hole in the bucket. But you also have to create revenue and profit. There's financial freedom. Financial freedom doesn't happen because you're wishy-washy in your approach to money. So all of these things, they're just, man, I'm so glad over the last 15, 20 years, I've learned so many difficult lessons because it shaped the way that I think today. And back to JR's point, the reason we sold the Lamborghini, frankly, because it didn't matter anymore. I don't need the validation. There's no insecurity there that a Lamborghini is ever going to replace. Plus, it drives like a Honda. What nobody talks about. It's a boxy car, man. It's not fun when you got potholes in the blue-collar city. It's not a fun car.
What was the event? Because you said that events in life trigger defining moments. So can you share the event or series of events that got you to let go of the external pursuits in favor of the internal?
So I'm growing this company of employees, and we're flipping houses and doing all this stuff. And, by modern day blue collar standards, I'm crushing it, right? I'm the epitome of like a successful young man, immigrant story, all of that. I'm building the hero's journey. And I'm working with my cousin. His name is Vinny. I have a cousin, Vinny. And I'm working with Vinny, and he's, this guy's like Jesus walking the earth, man. He's such a great example. He's a great father, has a newborn baby, he's got a wife, and he's singing in the choir, leading the church band. He's doing everything, man. It's like just a guy. And one night at 11 o'clock at night, Vinny dies in bed next to his wife, just has an incident, and nobody can explain it. It's not pre-existing. It's just literally he just stops breathing next to his wife in bed and his newborn son. And then he passes away. And I remember, I'm sitting there working the next morning and I don't know this happened. And I get a text from my mom, and the text is something like, Vinny something. And in my spirit, Ray, I knew. In my mind, I did not know. But in my spirit, I just sensed it. And I just said, you know what? I'm the type who continues moving forward. I'm looking for that evidence and belief, even though in my spirit, I believe. And Andrea, my wife, comes down the stairs and she looks at me with a super pale look on her face. And she just goes, I just got this message from your mom. And as soon as she saw my face and I saw her face, she just starts breaking down. I don't say a word. And she just goes, no, 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 not him, not Vinny. And falls on the stairs. And I just go and I be with her. And then he's an only child, After Vinny's passing, I just have this deep conviction in my spirit that God didn't call me for good. He called me for God. He didn't call me to be a successful young man driving a Lamborghini. He didn't call me to be this like local blue collar model. He called me to go and love God and love people and go and expand and do the things. And I went from having all this stuff, JR, to I said, as soon as Vinny left, I sold everything and I just left. And living on the road for 2 years in hotels and different places, I went through a journey in 2 years where I met incredible people. I finally got connected to some incredible business owners and entrepreneurs. And I started to really understand that God's called me for marketplace evangelism. And me being the Lamborghini guy who does real estate is not the identity that God has for me. It's the identity that I had for myself. So you detach. Guys, you detach, and I lost the appetite. I just lost the appetite, JR, for all consumerism. I don't care what car you have. I don't care what house you have. It's nice. It's beautiful. To me, that's not a good conversation anymore.
The people that are listening to us, because this is the tactical part, right? Because we're talking about surrender. So now you had the realization that your calling was of a higher nature. And how do you just let go, right? That's what I think all of us are trying to figure out. And that's back to Ray's question, Adam A versus Adam B. How do you let go and start chasing that life? Emotionally, what were you going through? And did you just make the decision right away, or was it a process?
Listen, whether you read the Bible or not, there's a story in there about Jonah and the whale. And, Jonah's disobedient. God's saying, go to this city and go do all this work. And Jonah's like, no, I'm not doing that. So he runs away and he ends up in the belly of this whale, and he's sitting in this whale. And, in this whale, he's contemplating and wrestling, like, how did I get here? What am I doing in the belly of the whale? And if you read the story, God gets him out of the belly of the whale. And then he goes back to the city that he was supposed to go and does the work that he's supposed to do. I feel like oftentimes we're in the belly of the whale. It's just not uncomfortable enough. Like, my belief is you're either going to go through some kind of traumatic event to wake up, or you're going to wake up. But until we have enough pain, we don't encounter change. There's no reason to change. The easiest people in the world to help are broke people, poor people. You know why? Because they know exactly what they want, JR. They know what they want: food and opportunity. You know who the hardest people to help? Middle class. They don't know what they want because they have more than they need. And without a real adversity, without a real trigger, there's no reason to do anything. They just live in their comfort and the stories they built for themselves. So the people who say, well, I want growth. Why? Why do you want growth? What life event triggered for you to help you recognize that your value system is twisted? Like, if you want to encounter this thing because you're living a fake life or whatever, it's almost like you have to go through trauma. You have to go through the level of trauma where your value system flips its head and says, this isn't what it's for. Or you have to just go down this really aggressive path of self-realization and start to ask yourself deeper, more important questions. Like, I play this game. I believe that one of the giftings I have is just being able to see. I just have this vision of life. And I always play this game where, like, where's the outcome? This kind of strategic vision. If I do this for 20 more years, and I have 20 more Bentleys, and I have 20 more houses, and I have 20 more things, what is the quality of my life? Will I have felt that this life was purposeful? Or will I just have 20 more things? Like, is your bucket list a real bucket list? Or is it just like a fun to-do list? And I think if we reconcile that, like, JR, we're on a podcast right now. If I spent the next 20 years and did a podcast every single day, I could reach millions and millions of people. But if I wasn't committed to the 20-year process and I don't see the benefit of a podcast, today I'm going to go, it's not my day. Tomorrow is not my day. The next day isn't my day. But if we want to reach people, then we got to reach people. See, our effort has to go somewhere. I just want people to realize that most of what you're working for, it depreciates. This whole life, this body depreciates. We all have so much time on earth. And Vinny passing to me was a reminder that I have to make a choice. And JR, this is how the choice started. Number one, I had to reconcile something. My whole life, I was likable. My whole life, I was the kind of person that you would like and was polite because I was brought up to manners, manners and being polite. And you know what I realized? Manners and being polite got in the way of my purpose. I don't give a flying fuck if you get offended, if you're upset, if you don't like me, if you condemn me, if you persecute me, if you comment me online, if you say some stuff behind my back. I'm not going to be aggressive to you. You just need to realize I no longer hold weight to that. And I don't need to use aggression to fight you all day. It just doesn't matter. I'm not in pursuit of you. You could be consuming all my content all day. I don't consume anybody's content. I literally don't care. It doesn't matter anymore. You can consume my stuff. See, all of us have a voice. All of us have a microphone. All of us have hands and feet. And all of us have a First Amendment right. And a Second Amendment. And a Third Amendment. Like, we should be arguing. We should be vocal. We're all fighting for our own narratives. So I try to love people internally. I'm flesh. I'm a broken spirit. I'm a broken man who wants to be angry and bitter at things that don't go my way. But I'm working on forgiveness faster and faster. So my point is, it just doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Your cars don't matter. Your stuff doesn't matter. Trading your quality of your life, trading your family, trading your health, trading your identity, and trading your passions for the pursuit of stuff, it doesn't equate. Hear this lesson now, or you'll hear this lesson in 10 years. I got a call from a friend of mine. He said, man, you just got to stay married, bro. So what do you mean stay married? He's like, do you know that 5 of our friends are actively cheating on their wife or going through a divorce right now? It's like, all we have to do is stay married. And I'm not in judgment of those 5 people. I don't even know who they are. He just said there's 5 people. But you know what? It resonated with me. I have to just stay married. Don't be that statistic. Don't be, but why do we live all these things? Why do we do all these things? So I'm in much search. I'm in search, man, for a truth that's beyond conversation. Like, my truth is so fundamental to me. I love you, but your opinion literally doesn't matter. It would not change my truth.
You're looking for that peace that passeth all understanding, it feels like.
And dude, the peace is so important to us. Like, what are we doing? We're trading brain cells, for dollars here. Like, there's nothing more important than peace and what you call fulfillment. To me, like, I'm a musician growing up. I didn't do music for like a decade because I was too busy making dollars. Do you know how unfulfilling it is to make money and alienate your passions? So the Lamborghini part of this, JR, was like, the Lamborghini will never replace that hit song I could have made. Somebody told me, he's like, man, you're going to die with music in your soul. Nothing is worse than that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine dying, JR, with a book in your soul, a music in your soul, a message in your soul, and you were just too afraid or distracted to get it out?
We talk about that, B. People become addicted to their distractions because at some level of Adam 1, it worked. Hey, I'm going to trade off all these things to then make this money. And then what happens is trauma has to hit, a freight train has to hit me to then get me on that path of self-realization, because you're so focused on this dollars and the external world recognizes you, like they celebrate you. Hey, you're making all this money. But inside, as we spoke over dinner, everyone, even these top achievers we all know, they still have that inner void. And now they look for an escape, or they look for something else to fill that inner void. And ultimately, then God's still trying to get their attention and fulfillment. And then they get hit by a freight train that then leads them to ask new questions. Is there an easier way to do this, a more graceful path than getting hit by a freight train?
Man, I wish I had a different answer. It's not, is there an easier way? Inevitably, you will get hit by a freight train. We're a body that's going to break down. Inevitably, you're going to get hit by something. If it's not a physical illness, it's a mental illness, or it's somebody close to you, their mental illness or physical. Something's going to happen in your life to force you to reconcile your actions, and your thinking. And you have to decide, will you become a proactive individual who fights against this dynamic that will happen to you? Or are you going to be reactive your entire life? This is where it becomes tactical for me. I can become proactive in my health, Ray. We all know how to do this. I can become proactive in my business and proactive in my marriage and relationships. I can become proactive, and this is my answer on how to do that. The how we become proactive is to starve the flesh and feed the spirit. And what I mean by that is stop looking at the impulsive things that feel good and start focusing on the things that actually do good. Not the impulsive feel good. The impulsive feel good is where we waste all of our life. I feel like binge watching. I feel like I need to watch this pornography. I feel like I need to yell at this person. I feel like I need to have this bitterness and resentment. Feeling, and feeling isn't fact. So doing good is the absence of feeling good. That's what I'm saying to you, which is like, you don't feel like going to hang out with a homeless guy today, but I did that a couple months ago, Ray. I spent 3 hours with a homeless guy, and I took him to the CVS, and I bought him some groceries, and I was just hanging out, get to know him. Do you know how much at peace my spirit was being able to serve somebody that can't serve themselves, being able to help somebody that'll never repay you, and that's not the point. We're so busy selling our services that we don't ever serve. You know, we use these words as lies. Most of us are lying. Give, right hook. Jab, right hook. Give. You're not giving, dude. You're giving with expectation. That's not giving. That's a transaction. It's a delayed payment. So like if you're going to give, actually give. So the way that I do that, Ray, is I've learned, man, I got to lower my expectation, but increase my intentionality. That's it. I have learned to lower my expectation, man. Don't get angry when somebody doesn't perform. Don't get upset when you don't do what just increase your intentionality around the things that do good. Like, dude, I'm writing music every week. Every Monday, I'm writing music, recording. I have a song right now that I believe is a banger. But just in case, JR, I'm going to write a song every single week. I will have 52 songs this year. And if you hate 50 of them, that's okay. 2 of them might make it on some top Spotify playlist. But it doesn't matter if you don't like the other 50. I loved the process of creating them, and I loved engaging in my passions and my creative spirit for those 50 songs. So it's not, the outcome isn't the only value. The Lamborghini wasn't the valuable thing. It was the man that I became on the way to the Lamborghini that was more valuable than the car. That's it. Your life experience is your greatest asset. Your story is your most valuable piece of content that you have. That's it. It's the journey. Otherwise, you get this fake, right? You ever see guys, I'm sure you see that like iceberg, and it's like you only see the tip of the iceberg, but you don't see the 99% underneath the water. You see the Lambo, but you don't see the 99%. And we often change the narrative. You don't see the work. Yeah, but you also didn't see the divorces, and you didn't see the internal problems, and you didn't see the kids without a father, and you didn't see all the other stuff.
Yeah, it's selective.
That's what we missed.
Yeah, selective sight. You didn't see the 99 problems. I got 99 problems, right? You didn't see that. You just saw the car and like, oh, wow, I want to go copy that. I want to go emulate that, thinking that that's going to bring you fulfillment and peace and all these things. And you're chasing things that feel good in absence of things that really are going to fulfill your soul.
Yeah. I've come to realize something, guys, which is the most selfish thing you can do is be middle class. You make just enough money for you to live in comfort, but never truly help somebody else. It's tough. It's a tough statement, You leverage credit, you leverage resources, you went to school, got a job, and you made just enough for you to barely survive, but not enough to actually help somebody else. Like when we talk about you should win in your finances and win in your marriage, is that you would create a cup of abundance, and that cup should overflow, just like the creator who created you. God created me to create. I should create an abundance, right? An abundance is being obedient to the little things you have. Out of that abundance pours opportunity for other people. Can you imagine living your whole life with a half-empty cup? Hey, JR, you just never have enough for you, so you're always complaining. What is the purpose?
You know what's interesting, Ray, is that he doesn't listen to, so we can't say that he listened to any of our podcasts. He's admitted he doesn't listen to anybody's content yet. How many of these things overlap with what we've been talking about in these shows?
100%. I mean, he'll send me a quick emoji like he likes something or whatever, but he knows what we're about. He knows that we roll, baby.
I love you guys, and I love all people who produce content. Just be under the awareness that I'm also creating music and content. And that takes precedence to me watching other people's. Like I'm writing songs. You've never heard my songs I haven't released. We're in the same boat. See, I think there's a season for knowledge and there's a season for application. There is a season for learning and there's a season for doing. I love the motto, I call it the olive branch. I learn, I do, and I teach. I learn, I do, and I teach. And I consistently become more valuable in the economic wheel because I'm always learning something, right? Doing and teaching something. Like I'm in this music production, learning and doing so that I can teach it. I'm in the study of myself so I can do the things that I'm learning about myself, and then I can teach and help and pour other people. Like in my lifetime, mastery, they say, is every 10,000 hours. Well, I mastered doing real estate deals. Cool. That's fun. I mastered music. Cool. I think what I'm really mastering now is living on purpose. And I'm pretty good at living on purpose. If you see my calendar, it's purposeful. If you see the way that I think and I move, it's purposeful. I live everything with intention. I'm very boring unless we have something important to talk about, right? You know this. Don't have a low-level conversation around me because it's just not my jam. I'm just not interested. The weather, the news, the politics, the flight over here, none of it matters. I'm not going to change the weather, so why talk about it? I just learned to be graciously intentional. When somebody else is talking about something that frankly doesn't interest me, I learn to graciously just move on. I don't discriminate. I don't want to ostracize people for that. But at the same time, I'm just not engaging. It's the easiest thing for me to do is just not answer questions, JR. Some people are like, what do you want for dinner? I just go dinner. Hey, man, you want to talk about the news? News. Hey, who's your favorite president? President. Like, I'll just respond with the last word you gave me, and it just gets me out of 90% of conversations I don't want to have. Hey, what do you think about the politics? Politics, man. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. If I join the political party, then it's going to matter. But until then, I'll just move to a state that's in alignment to my beliefs. And that's the extent.
Quick question here, Ben, and I love that, and I gave you that compliment as we had dinner. It was that I just kind of felt that in your being, you're way more intentional now. But there's also an intentional, and it came through for me to share with you as you were saying it. Not only more intentional, but there's an intention with grace. See, because grace balances that intention. Because before you had intention, but it was just almost like it was too much to like hang out with you. Like it was cool. I mean, I love you. We hang out, but it was like just a lot. Right now, it's like a graceful intention. There's an ease. There's a beauty to it. There's a magnetism to it, even. Right where it's enjoyable, right, and it's also inspiring. So thank you for that. And then my question, or something that I wanted you to expand on, was this idea I wrote out: this impulsive of feeling good versus doing this thing that may not feel good but actually serves your soul long term. How do we get people, us, ourselves, or other listeners to actually make that decision to overcome themselves, really like getting out, like you said, feed the spirit versus feeding the flesh? Because it's easier to feed the spirit. We're conditioned, it's easier to feed the flesh. We're conditioned to like, hey, let's eat something, or let's go do something, or let's go distract ourselves and take that quick dopamine hit, versus the long-term thing that's always going to leave us better, our spirit fulfilled long-term, but initially might not feel good.
The way I like to frame this is the word recoil. So like when somebody offends me, I want to be instantly angry. I'm making a choice to react, like I'm a hothead like the next guy in my human flesh form. So you offend me, I want to offend back. You hit me, I want to hit back. And I've learned to recoil that. I've learned to bounce back faster, instead of me being offended and me being whatever, my instinct, my human flesh is the instinct. What I do good instead is I actually ask for forgiveness. I have a policy where like once a quarter, I just reach out to people that I think might be offended by me and I just ask for forgiveness. Why? Why not? Why not do this? And that exact thing, me doing that, is what rekindled a relationship with my brother who I hadn't talked to in years. And he came to stay with me for a few months and we became best friends. And it was this simple extension of forgive me. I don't have this perfect, and nor am I trying to be perfect. Life isn't about perfection. It's about progress. In fact, that's our internal need. Erwin McManus says that's our intrinsic need as people, is progress. So if I can't progress here, then I'm going to progress here. In fact, I think it's a life hack. If you're having a hard time finding traction in your finances, then go find traction in your giving, man. Go find traction in your marriage. Go find some traction in your fitness. And that traction point builds additional confidence. You can come back. So doing good is recognizing that the feelings don't produce fulfillment. The feelings produce feelings. It's good to sit on this stupid device here, man. And it's good to like be on the Instagram and the TikToks and all this stuff, right? But you know that this is robbing you of your joy because you're comparing to every single person around you. So, one activity is, instead of being on this thing for 10 minutes a day, like I removed TikTok from my phone. I add it occasionally, realize that it's just trash, and I just take it off again because it doesn't help me. But dude, this is an addictive thing. Instead of doing this, why don't I just take a walk and practice gratitude? Instead of doing this, what I've learned to do is actually reach out to real humans and just say, thinking about you, and say a prayer for somebody you know. See, building 20 meaningful relationships is incredibly valuable. Building 1,000 fake followers doesn't matter. None of these people will come to your rescue when you have a flat tire. None of them. None of these people will have impact with you. So it's the perception of what's valuable versus what is actually valuable. So, Ray, other people are valuable. Other people are so valuable. And find a superpower that nobody else will have. I really like Bob Goff. He wrote this book called Everybody Always, and he was on a mastermind call with us a couple of weeks ago. And he says, my superpower is I'm not the richest or the most handsome, but I am the most available. He's like, people around me know that I'm available, and that's my superpower. Can you imagine a world of ambitious men? We just became available. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy to just be like, y'all drop everything. I'm here for you as a human, and I don't need anything back, or I don't expect it. But guys, I'm living my way where JR, I'll hop on a flight anytime now. I'm just going to hop on a flight. I live on the road half the time because I'm just hopping on flights, going to things people call me to last minute. Why? Because that just matters. Life matters that way. If you care about people, be available. I love this. I was never available. So now I live in a constraint with my calendar so I can create time to be available for people to call me on a dime. It's interesting. It's a different concept. But it requires a level of doing good, like raising trouble. Ray, I'm on the way. What about all the other stuff you have to do? I know I built the life so that I'm willing to do that. And people in my life understand that I'm willing to drop things on a dime. So, life hacking is just nothing more than priorities. You're right.
Simple.
It's just nothing more than deciding like what's purposeful and what's pleasurable.
One thing that I'll share with JR, because I struggle with this, and I'll just kind of open it up. One thing that I found remarkable about this time seeing you and connecting with you is, we connect over the phone here and there, but connecting with you, like, you weren't in this like amazing, great shape that I'm kind of from the last time I saw you. But man, I felt your soul was on fire. Like, we had ice cream and then we ate a bunch of different food. You're like, no, let's get the corn. No, let's get this. Like stuff the old Ben would have been real rigid around, or like, no, I gotta work out at 5 a.m. And if I don't work out, and I was like, dude, this guy was like not fun to be around. This Ben was like, dude, we're having ice cream. He got 2 scoops. You telling jokes, like not really having an agenda. Share about me what happened in that transition, because I know for a while you were like, dude, dead set, 5% body fat. I'm gonna be on the cover of Fitness magazine. Talk to me about that transition, brother.
Everything has a purpose in life, and it has a seasonality. And you have to ask yourself, what do you want to value, not what do you value? I think it's great to be in shape. I think it's great to push the boundaries of human performance, and that's great. But every single thing has a cost. And for me, spending time with people and loving on people brings me greater enjoyment than even the health. So I could be at, I'm 143 pounds, not a lot. I could lose 10 more and get back to peak condition. But you know what else, Ray, is going to happen? I'm not going out with you for ice cream. I'm not hanging out with you at 9 p.m. because I got to go to bed and hit the gym at 5 a.m. We lose our humanity in the pursuit of perfection. So I've come to realize that if I cannot find a better way to cope in this season with my health, there's a minimum viable health, there's a minimum viable financial model, there's a minimum viable, like it's a minimum standard. I'm not telling you to completely ignore your health and constraints and whatever. I'm not even telling you to use the 80-20 rule. What I'm telling you is to love people. And if Ray's coming in town and we can hang out, yes, Ray, I can be chiseled and distant, or I could be 12, 13, 14% body fat. and be available. See, this is like my trainers hitting me up like, what's up, man? Did you lose the desire? I'm like, dude, I've been on this health journey for a long time. You know, I lost another 15 pounds this year. And it's like, there's two narratives. There's like, you're not disciplined enough and you don't want it bad enough. And the reality is, you're right. I don't want it bad enough to cost me this or cost me that or cost me this, because frankly, it's not that the food and the diet and the workout isn't sustainable. It's the distance from humanity, because most of the people that I'm going to encounter are not living the same rigid lifestyle. It forces me to only hang out with people who love fitness. Can you imagine? Like, cool, I like fitness. I don't love fitness. If all I had to do was hang out with gym rats all day, my life would suck. We'd be in constant comparison about who can squat the most and whose knee hurts the most. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's not the girls checking you out. It's the other gym guys checking you out.
Yeah, I don't need the girls. I'm married. The girls don't matter to me.
No, I'm just saying, the girls don't even notice. It's the other gym guys noticing. You know, it's like, what? It's not your wife. Your wife loves you. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, like, there's for me, and this is my own personal answer. I'm not living in condemnation of other people, because frankly, it doesn't serve me or them. But like, I don't care about the vanity to the extent. I don't care about it's just another Lamborghini. Yeah, but it's your health. Your health does not outweigh humanity, and your health does not outweigh your relationship with your heavenly creator. If I have to choose health or purpose, it's purpose. If I got to choose money or purpose, it's purpose. I will do anything for my wife ever but give up my purpose. I will never walk away from purpose. I will never walk away from loving people. It's not the answer. Well, but Ben, then you're just this kind of guy who just goes around and does things that people can't quantify, and it's not popular, and you're not likable and whatever. That's okay. I know another guy who was like that. He walked this earth 2000. See, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to be more like Christ. That's it. My guy Jesus used to walk around with no schedule. Him and his 12 homies would walk around loving on people, just going town to town to town. I'm not trying to be more like you. I'm just trying to be more like Jesus. And I think Jesus was fit. The guy did a lot of walking. Did the guy have a six-pack? I don't know. Was he taking supplements? Was he drinking creatine? Probably not. I don't know. Guy had a little bit of milk and was just back on the road again.
I mean, to me,
so I'm not putting anything down. I think Ray, what I want to realize is this concept is like being the best. It makes you aspirational, like a David Goggins, right? Be the best. And at what cost, though, my friend? At what cost? Yeah, you got on a stage one time and talked about being the best and people like you, but what is your spirit like? You know, what are we being the best at? Best at money, the best at bodies, the best at stuff. Like if being the best separates you from loving people, to me, the cost is too high. That's it. That's my quickest equation. Does this draw me closer to people or further from people? If it draws me further, it's not worth it. That's it. I can be better. I can improve. You be the best, bro. JR, you be the best podcast guy ever. I'm just going to do a podcast and help people. That's it. Well, yours isn't the best. That's okay. I don't need an award. See, the reality, folks, is I don't need a trophy. I don't need a statue anymore. I don't need you to like remember me when I'm dead. I don't need you to say this guy's life was worth living. I know it's worth living. I want to live life in such a way, right, where if I had to go right now, I would say I lived in the conviction that I was doing what God called me to do. That's it. It's as simple as that. So if that means I got to love a homeless guy or eat a taco with my buddy Ray and just tell him, hey, man, you look great even with this taco. By the way, you had more than I did.
I didn't. You did have more ice cream.
So I want to give you guys the microphone, but like we build these rules like 80-20 rule and, you know, this and that and all these things. And I just, you know, all of it is helpful. All of it helps the mind, but the spirit just wants to connect with people. That's it. Imperfectly, inefficiently connecting and loving people. If I can do that, I'm learning that value is more valuable to me than performance.
And the first thing I want to say is, bro, my soul needed to hear this. So, because I'm going through some things with my wife, and it's about me prioritizing the gym and other things over the family, right? Even like I'll say, hey, I want to get this in, and it's more of a selfish way of being. And she's constantly telling me things, hey, show up differently, hey, like put us in a higher priority. And I struggle with it. And I'm like, but you know what? Like if I want to connect with her and them, that's the priority right now, is to connect with them. And I'm caught up on like I got to go to the gym every day. I got to do, you know, eat right, stay a certain level. And that's all about me being selfish. Fuck. It's not about what's best for the family, connecting with the kids and her. You know what I mean? So that's, as I'm hearing it from you, is like, dude, I'm prioritizing that over connecting with them. And that's not cool. You know, it's not the way I want to live. You know what I mean? Not beating myself up, just like, damn, dude, I really needed to hear. So thank you, my bro.
Yeah, now I'm not telling you to go and be a fat pudge and neglect your health. That's not what
No,
I'm saying.
you know, I always gotta look sexy, baby. You know, I got a little something, something.
Well,
Round
you've
face.
been APAC for a long time. I know you. I see you. I see you.
2 a days. I'm doing 3 a days. I'm Ray.
3 days. No, but you know, yeah, man, and just kind of more grace and balance. JR, what do you got? I know you got some stuff for Humble before I go ask him some questions. What you got for Humble?
Oh, I mean, I've got a lot of notes here, but I think I like the stories when we relate the stories back to the lessons. So there's been a lot of stories and lessons, and being present, knowing that time is finite, living with purpose and not letting anything get in the way of purpose. So there's been a lot of great takeaways, but no, take it away, Ray.
We spoke about a little bit about some things where you spoke about, and then we don't mention names, but just other great guys that you hear on stage, and you're talking about this and how they have 3 days in one, and how they get up at, you know, early at, you know, 4 a.m, and this is what they're about, and like, and this becomes their identity. So they identify with this person that they created, and even though at their soul now they might feel different, their soul says their soul is craving spirit. It's craving to serve people, it's craving to love themselves, love the creator, and open up in a different way. But they're so addicted, and they have to show up because they've created the external all around it. So now they're suffering in the inside, but to the outside world, they're celebrated as known as this person or this thing. So they have to show up to this identity they created. And you and I were speaking about like how to kind of like the challenges of that, because now society reinforces that, and people think that that's what they want. Hey, I want to run 100 miles, and I want to be like Goggins, or I want to be like Ed Milet, or these people. And I love these people. I learned a lot of things from these people. And yet I never asked myself that question, like you said, was powerful. At what cost? Because you don't know what price they paid. You don't know what that cost them.
So I love building a story that allows me to continue discovering. Yeah, I like this humble thing, you know, because the humble thing is kind of countercultural. So I get people go, man, what's the humble thing? Like, you're not humble. You have a, you know, Porsche turbo. And the humble thing for me is always being a student and being in discovery. So like, be okay dropping your ego. You don't have to be the coolest cat. You know, like just keep growing and be a student of life. And to me, it's an identity around discovery, right? Or you can build an identity that you have to defend relentlessly. And that to me has more conflict than I like. It's like, you're like the business guy. You're like small business dude, right? Small business mentor. And you're like now in forever defense of everything you know and who you are. You became this business guy, or you became this athlete, or you became this person who made, like, be careful what you promise the world, because then you have to keep it. So I believe when somebody goes, I'm this business guy, or I'm this person here, I have the best this, or I'm the best that, then the rest of your life, even though you no longer are in alignment to whatever that was, you still have to perform, because you became, like, you built the show and then you became its primary actor. So even when business is hard, you got to now put on a show, put on a front, start lying to people. Even when your body is hurt and broken, you still got to run 89,000 hard every day, all day, because you told the world you were 75 hard, and you can't allow yourself to become 75 soft. Right? Like, you have to stay in always peak performance, and the peak performance is the exhausting part. Because what if you no longer like the sport? You know, I heard somebody say something cool, which is like, you know, we talk about doing what you love. He's like, the problem is that I never want to turn hanging out with my kids into a business, because then I wouldn't love it anymore. I don't want to turn fishing into a business. I don't want to turn music into a business. I won't love it anymore. But we create these narratives like, do what you love. You take what you're passionate about and turn it into a chore. Then it becomes this thing that now you have to defend. I thought you liked music. Yeah, but I don't like writing crappy songs because some A&R rep needs me to put out content, you know? I like doing social media when I was speaking my truth. I didn't like it when I had to do content every week to keep up with you guys in your comments. It's like, you're building a story anyways. You might as well build a story that can keep getting better. So I'm always careful around these like statements. I'm the best, I'm the fastest, I'm the strongest, I'm the whatever. Okay, well, then there's no room for improvement. If you are the best right now, you can, like, that's it. That's the extent of your potential. So I, like, I like the idea of dying with a tremendous amount of potential still inside of you. People go, drain the cup, man. Don't die with potential. That means that you did everything that was humanly possible. No, I want to die with a ton of potential, because I also did a ton. Potential is never ending. Man, this guy did this and this and this and this. And don't give me the word success. That word doesn't matter to me. It's just progress. Oh, you're so successful. I'm just a human out here just like you. I might work faster. Like for me, that life proximity is about two elements, race and pace, meaning we're running a race. I'm running the race of bringing people to Christ. And I do that by building products and services and doing events and marketplace ministry. And I go help a lot of people, and I try to give them practical things on finance and real estate and money making and relationships and all this stuff, basically to bring people to the Lord. That's my race. Okay. And there's a lot of other people running the same race. The question is, at which pace are you running? If we're running the same race at the same pace, then we have proximity. If we're running the same race at a different pace, we're in alignment, but not in proximity. And if we're running the different race, then we're not in alignment. And frankly, we don't need to be in proximity at all. So if you're like, I'm just here to make money, not in the same race, bro. If all you want to do is money, if that's the extent of your ambition, we're not running the same race. So Ray, when people call me like, hey man, I got a real estate deal. So what? And I have a hamburger. What's the point of this conversation? But you're a real estate guy. No, I'm a man who has also done real estate. I'm not a real estate guy. It's not my day. So I'll give you this, and then I want to turn it back to you guys. I take most of my nouns and turn them into verbs. I'm not a real estate guy. I do real estate. I'm not a musician. I play music. I'm not a Christian. I follow the word of God. I'm living by faith every day. If you take everything from a noun and turn it into a verb, like life gets less complicated. You don't have to label yourself something and then defend it all day. You're a business owner. No, I happen to own some businesses and we do business. Otherwise you're going to put me on a pedestal and make me defend myself. So I'm not humble. I'm trying to practice humility on a regular basis. That to me is easier than like, put me on a pedestal, give me a label. Now I got to work hard to defend it. So remove the labels.
It creates identification. When you said that I am word is creation, right? That I am that I am. That is you're saying now you're identifying with this. You put your being.
Yeah, for me, it's easy. I'm a child of God doing life. That's it. I'm just doing all kinds of things. Right? And I might change tomorrow. Hey man, you're not doing real estate anymore? No. I'm not. Or hey, you are doing real estate? No. Like, I already did real estate. I already bought 300 properties. Oh, you should. Why? Because I did it and I found success. I need to keep doing it. I'll do it if it serves me. I won't if I won't. If I never see a crappy little house ever again, I'd be okay. Like, I don't need to see more Home Depot parking lots. I've done this game. But just because you're brand new to it and you're ambitious. So I think we just have to be okay with seasonal stuff. You got to be okay with, like, JR, you can do anything. It's like going back to being childlike. As a child, we could do anything. We weren't limited by like one or two. As an adult, we box ourselves into a corner and we go, this is all you can do.
Unless you become like a child, right?
Childlike. Yes. I love being childlike.
Wonder. Unless you become like that, you can't enter into the kingdom.
How are you going to have fun as an adult, though, if you can't be childlike?
My wife.
I'm about like, listen, I'm almost 40 years old. Guys, I'm taking hip hop dance lessons and fitness classes, and I'm taking music lessons again. I'm already a very proficient piano player. I have been my whole life, but I'm taking jazz piano lessons. I'm taking music record. Like, as an adult, I'm going back. Like, I got braces. Look, I got braces on my face at almost 40 years old. I'm just going back to being childlike, man. I'm just growing.
Benjamin Button.
Just, dude, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Oh man, I love that from noun to verb, man. That's
younger every day.
I love that. Like you're disidentifying from things. You're like, this is something I just did, but I'm not a real estate investor. I did some real estate. That's it. But it opens you up to infinite possibilities. What would you like to do now, right? As a child of God, you're given infinite freedom to create like the creator, made in the image of. What do I want to create now?
Well, here's the beauty, right? I think, and I heard this from Irvin too. So I'm just regurgitating a lot of what I've come to understand is that the imagination is God's playground. He gave you imagination as a place where you can co-create with the creator. Like, you've got an imagination, use it. But yet we oftentimes close down our imagination because the practical world can't conceive the imagination, but it's not supposed to. It's called imagination. And it's like, let God work in your imagination, co-create in that space where you can design and see a world where things are incredible and different. And then, you know, if, in the right timing, the how you do it and the who you do it with will be revealed, you know. But we have to live in that imagination where that could be anything, anytime. That's it. I can do anything, anytime. Some things I'm naturally predisposed to do better. I've got different behaviors and conditioning. Fine, we'll call them strengths. But dude, like, why couldn't you and I go and start selling cars tomorrow? Or JR, why couldn't we take up snowboarding? Like, it wouldn't matter.
Amen.
JR's a phenomenal snowboarder, so just kind of be careful what you wish for, bro. JR, what do you got for Ben? I know he's poking a lot of holes, and I love his framework that is similar to ours, but yet he explains it differently. He's got different principles and things that he's unwired, right? He's unwired being a real estate investor. He's unwired being a money lender. He's unwired all these things that used to define him, but then also limit him.
Well, I think he summed it up. Finding his purpose, serving God connects us to our purpose. I think that when he, and I'm with you, Ben, because I'm the same way. Is I know if I have that connection, then it helps me make the connection with the people around me. And this is a conversation we've been having here, is seeing Christ in other people, and that's not always so easy when some jack wagon cuts you off and you're in a hurry and you got to squeeze your brakes and all that stuff. But I think that some of the stuff, I think it all overlaps. It's just different framing, right? Purpose, serving, letting go, surrender. I mean, these are all topics that we've covered. My favorite though was the trauma, right? We got to get knocked out to have that awakening to want something different. And you know, Ben, people have emailed or texted Ray over there asking him, well, how do you get there? How do you do that? And I want to say that there's another way, but I don't think there is. I don't think there is. My dad says it all the time. You got to hit rock bottom till you realize, hey, I got to ask a different question. I have to make a change. But I think that you've given us a shortcut, and from a different perspective. Serving God, connecting to God, that's the main thing. And then doing God's work with the people around you. So connecting with the people. And I like how you unchained yourself from the discipline of the diet or the 5 a.m. wake ups or all that stuff that creates our identity, because your identity is really serving other people, right? That's a beautiful thing. And that's what I'm still trying to learn. I don't know where Ray is on that journey, but make somebody's life better and really, especially with no expectation on the other side of that. That's a beautiful thing.
That's the harder part, is we all have expectation. We built it into our life algorithm that if an input must equal an output, or we get frustrated. You know, I was on a flight a little while ago, came back on a Monday morning, and, you know, the whole world is buzzing, and I've got all these things in the calendar, and the guy next to me, he was having a hard time. He's an older guy. He's having a hard time because he was supposed to come home and his family wasn't there to pick him up and this and that. So I started talking with him. I said, you know, what's your life story? And he's, you know, living in a trailer basically. And so I said, do you want some help when we get off this plane? Like, I'll kind of, you know, get you where you got to go. And he says, that would be awesome. We spent 3 hours together in the airport. Take him out, he took him out for a smoke, and then took him to the restroom, and then took him to the, you know, terminal, and then took him to the next thing. And I hung out with this random stranger for about 3 hours before his next flight, which was delayed and everything. And hanging out with this guy, by the end of it, he's like wanting to adopt me. He's like, I have nobody in this world. I have my one daughter, and I have another daughter, but this one here, she's hard to live with, and this one wants me, but this is my thing, and come live with me in my trailer, and I'll have room for you and your dog and your wife, and this whole thing, right? This whole storyline. I said, no, I can't do that, but, you know, I can spend some time with you and just treat you like a human. Like, there's no protocol for that. It's not in your calendar. It's never going to be in your calendar. We have a million things to do. But just being willing, I don't think we need to be so, you know, I don't think we need to be so strategic. We just need to become available. To me is the conquering the flesh, guys. Like, I am not readily in my flesh available. I I'm just like every other very ambitious young man with a very aggressive tone, and I want to get things done, and I want to see outcome and achievement, and that's what I want to do. But then in the face of that, finding availability, I think that's where we start to do good instead of feel good. You know, I just told my team, you know, we're not doing this meeting. Why? What are you doing? I'm just saying something I can't talk about. It's not about you. It's not about work. You know, I'm doing something just because it needs to be done. And I think that when you start living life that way and you add those elements, then I think you get to gain the perspective we're actually trying to gain. It helps with gratitude and humility. You know, abundance to me isn't outward. Abundance is taking something that's already been planted in you and using what you already have, those seeds, to create more. Like abundance is me reaching out to Ray and cultivating a relationship. It's not something I find. I'm not going to find more money. I'm going to manage the money that I have and use that as seed to plant and grow and cultivate. That's how I see abundance. Abundant. God gave you the seeds to plant the farm. You just got to be willing to cultivate to get the crop.
And we use the coconut tree example to explain abundance, but very, very almost identical. Just you explain it different. Abundance comes from within. Abundance to a coconut tree would be it producing its own fruit and then sharing it outwardly abundantly from the inside, right? I'm connected with the, you know, right, that I'm connected to the branch, right? Because I'm connected to the divine, right? And that flows outward. The tree, you putting 1,000 coconuts on the tree and hanging it on the tree is an abundance of the tree. It's outflow, it's pouring, it's sharing, it's loving on people. That's abundant.
And I think that piece is the one that I want to highlight for today. And there's a couple things around it, that the being available, being
Huge.
available to serve, right? Being available to serve, being available for God to work through you with the Holy Spirit, and being available with the open calendar to be able to do that, and being abundant in the fact that you have enough that you could have an open calendar so that you are available. Dude, there's so many freaking layers on this.
Oh
I don't
my
think
God,
people are getting.
that's amazing, dude.
I don't think they're. I mean, you're gonna have to listen to it
Yeah.
a few times, start seeing
Yeah.
how it all fits together.
Yeah, because the old us wants to just fill the calendar. So I love that, being available, and just Holy Spirit, God will talk to you in that moment. Hey, go talk to that person, because you're available and
Yeah.
you're open and you're
You're
receptive,
available.
and you're in that state of curiosity and wonder, childlike. He'll talk to you. Hey, go over there.
Yeah.
He'll point you in that direction. So
So
you become, yeah. So you become the pencil. You become the mic, and right, like you're just a tool, and he's coming through you.
the instrument, right? The
Yeah.
instrument for him to do his work, right? Work through us.
I think what's powerful is, you know, I find for me, I find a closer relationship to my spirit when I deleverage. So most of us are great at leverage in our businesses, financially, with other people. It's other people's time, other people's money, other people's stages, other people's everything. So
You mean
we're
the who?
leveraging.
You mean the who, not the what? No, we're gonna go over that
The
concept.
who, not the what, all of those concepts is all about one dynamic, which is leverage. So imagine when you deleverage your time and you make yourself just disgustingly available.
But Ben, I want to go one to many. I want to go one to many. I gotta go one to many.
And there's some circumstances where you need to. And there's like for me, in the context of business, become efficient. In the context of humanity, don't. That's the concept. So if I'm in business mode, I love the calendar, right? I love getting things done. I love being on top of it. I love being organized. They're like, the language of business is numbers and efficiency. We can't not know numbers and efficiency if we want to produce, because business is about production. Business is not about humanity. It's about production. Humanity is about humanity. So like, why don't you time block humanity on your calendar? Time block, I'm just going to be available for the next 6 hours to whoever needs me, with no interruption, no schedule, no assignment, no exchange. See, I would rather spend 20% of my time in articulate business that's specific and focused and drives an outcome. And that's great, not for the purposes of enabling me for the other percent, but for the purposes of doing meaningful work, because I can. And God's given me an ability to create profit and create jobs and create opportunity. But then imagine you spend the other 80% of your time in your passions and your families and your relationships and your unrelentless pursuit of humanity. Isn't that cool? Isn't that dynamic so powerful?
I think
that's what I love.
He's talking about flipping the pyramid, dude.
I'm talking about flip. Get so good at business where it is 20%. You know, like business is not 80% of your life. It can't be. Money is not that important. When it's 80% of your life, it's an idolatry. Make it 20%. Get good and get good fast. So for your audience, I don't want to get a mentor. That's foolish. I don't want to learn to do a better way. That's foolish. I don't want to understand it. Like, I don't want to budget my money. Foolish. If you're going to be in business, then be in business and make it 20% of your life and get it done and check the box. But then, and don't talk about it the other 80% of your life, because that's what we do. You know, it's like, all we do is talk about business. So listen, 20% of your life is doing business and talking about business. Great. The other 80% is called your life. Okay. Find place for humanity, find place for passions, because if you want to encounter Adam 2, you want to encounter the internal purpose for things, it's not going to happen because of your business. So leave it in the outward. Leave your cars and your toys and everything that you have in the 20% of your framework. Hey man, I got a cool car. Great. Let's talk about it 20% of my time. The other 80%, we're not talking about money or cars or outwardly success. Let's go talk about humanity. Let's go talk about impact. Like, guys, last year I was on a stage actually with one of the friends that we have, Mark. You know, he's an awesome mentor to me over the years, and we raised $500,000 to go help people in human trafficking. I'm so honored that I was on that stage, and I'm thankful to Mark for having the determination. Whatever we did is less important than the $500,000 that went directly to save women and children and men and boys from modern day slavery. Like, that is way more valuable than what we did over here. So our effort, our time, our focus, conversation, for me, should be in that realm, 80% and 20% here. We can all get good at business. We just choose not to get good at humanity. So we die as good business people. And frankly, that sucks. You imagine on your tombstone, JR, he knew accounting. Like, who cares?
Good with mine would be he was good with to-do lists.
There you go.
It used to be that other JR, you know, it used to be, and now this JR is so much more open and creative and go with the flow.
How we ended up here.
Yeah, that I told
being available.
Yeah,
being
that
available.
I told. Yeah, being available, because I told Ben this. I go, Ben, and I'm gonna tell you too, JR, both of you guys. Man, I love the old version of you, man. I love the old JR. I love that guy. Go out there, go hard, schedule. No, you gotta hit him with takeaways, right? You gotta hit him with this, and we gotta. And I love that old Ben. And it was like almost like overwhelming to be around. But these new versions you guys are evolving to, and I love these guys even more. You know, like, these guys have a much more open heart. They're present with people. They're helping people, and they're available. That's what I've noticed about you two guys. That, you know, to wrap up with Ben's nuggets here, they're available and they're open to what shows up to the universe versus trying to force their will, right? Or my way. Like, I don't know. I'm just here hanging out with I've got the blessing and privilege and great, you know, like, just, it's amazing I can hang out with you guys, and like, you guys help me with this and help the world with this. So just really thankful and grateful for both of you guys. And I love who you are now even more than who you were.
Oh, the feeling's mutual.
Ben, anything you want to leave him with?
Yeah, you have agency. So you don't have to encounter a traumatic situation to change, but you probably will, because you have agency. Because this message is relevant but not urgent in your life, you probably won't take most of it. But when it becomes urgent, it becomes a necessity. It's like a health scare. So I think we should define and create a purposeful health scare. Like, create something in your life that forces you to reconcile. When you got to reconcile and you have to encounter conflict, is good if there's productivity and growth on the other end of conflict. So I don't mind conflict. I think we should encounter the conflict. For me, the word encounter, embracing the problems and the root, man, that is so good. And then start the journey. And it's going to take you some time, but as you get better and better and better, you will find, like, I don't suffer with needing to feel important, needing to be important. I don't need to find importance, because I truly believe I'm created a life that has real impact. And if you feel watching this that you need more importance and significance, I will challenge you that you're not really creating impact in the world. And by impact, I mean meaningful, definable, clear impact. So that's my challenge to folks. Is get rid of the feelings, and focus on doing good.
Ben, I want to make sure that I have this correct. Is it's humble.ceo, right?
Yeah.
So where we can find everything. Anybody that's looking for you is humble.ceo. I know the podcast is there. There's tons of content, products, books, newsletter, all that at humble.ceo.
Guys, it's been awesome. It's been a blast. I appreciate you having me, and thank you for letting us share the message on your platform.
And I remember it from last year because you did the speech you did a talk and you were talking God. And I was like, who's this guy? He was talking God, I think, before us. Like, who's this guy coming out of the woodwork with this? And look at you now, man.
It became, there was something, I don't know if it was your cousin, God bless his soul, that triggered, because the Ben that came and we hung out at my place a couple of years ago, and this Ben turned that way up. Was that the cousin that forced you to kind of, not force you, but that you said, hey, I'm going to turn that other volume of that old Ben way down and turn Adam 2 way up? Is that what caused you to turn the volume up?
A series of events. That's part of it. Yeah.
Trauma, getting your butt kicked. And then asking God, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing again?
I think that's the path. I mean, we try and fight the path, but the path is the trauma that then forces the new questions, because you can't go down the old way. It forces the self-reflection. And what Ben is proposing, hey, maybe there's a way where you can force the trauma on yourself, so you force the new questions. But generally, that doesn't happen because there's not enough pain. So, you get hit by a freight train.
You gotta have the pain.
Yeah.
Bring the pain.
Pain train, baby.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks,
I
Ray.
love you guys.